Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Game 3 is in the books. NBA Finals has been fantastic through 3 games. This one ended 116 to 100, and the Boston Celtics got the victory at home, as predicted here on this channel. Wow, the Golden State Warriors' interior defense is non-existent. I don't know what happened to it. It was a lot of different things that Steve Kerr did with the rotation that I did not agree with in this particular matchup in the first half, giving himself no rim protection in some cases, as I mentioned in the halftime video, and the Boston Celtics took absolute advantage of it. I loved what I saw from the Boston Celtics, and as a Laker fan, that does not make me very happy to say, but that is exactly what the opinion is. They played phenomenally. They fed off their home court. They shut those who say that they're afraid of their home fans up, and the stars showed out. For the first time since 1984, the year I was born, 38 years ago, 38 now. First time, 3 players have had 20 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in the same NBA Finals game. Boston Celtics took care of that today. First time done since Kareem, Worthy, and Magic did it. I believe it was Kareem, Worthy, and Magic against the Celtics, of course, where we lost that series. And now the Celtics do it themselves. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum took care of that tonight in Game 3 of the Finals. So congratulations to those guys making history. Listen, Steph Curry got hurt at the end of this game. I don't know what his status is going to be for Game 4. I'm very concerned about that if you're the Warriors. Very, very concerned about that. It was a little scrum play where I believe it was Al Horford fell on his leg. Kind of funny. He played out the rest of the game, but he was grimacing and clearly laboring through at the end of the game. So if we take anything from this game, it's the status of Steph Curry being now in question, especially with this game having only 1 day of rest between the next one. So that's a big deal. Next thing I want to mention is Klay Thompson found his stroke. So if we're talking about the Golden State Warriors and we're looking for silver linings there, Klay Thompson found his stroke. He looked great in this game in portions of the game shooting the ball. His shot selection could have been better here and there. There were still some issues, but the moral of the story is he walked out of there with, I believe, 25 or 26 points, having hit about 5 threes. Forgive me, numbers are not sticking in my head this evening, and I ain't writing anything down. I'm winging it. But he did have a good shooting night in Boston, and that will carry over into Game 4 if you ask me, especially if Steph Curry ain't going to be available. Klay Thompson getting hot in this game was just what the doctor ordered for the Warriors. Now, other than that, man, I can tell you the Golden State Warriors didn't do themselves a whole lot of favors. Andrew Wiggins had 18 points, did a lot of good things, stealing the ball, blocking shots, great defensive stats for him. But ultimately, his three-point shot just was not falling. They needed a little more there. Draymond Green, he ran around. He fouled people. He screamed at people. He picked fights. That was all he did. He was awful again. Just awful. Just awful. 6 fouls. He fouled out. I think he had 2 points, maybe 3 rebounds. I saw a couple nice plays where he made a good bounce pass to Jordan Poole. I thought he made some good reads passing the ball as usual. But Draymond Green in the finals. I don't want to be that guy, but somebody's got to say this. There is a reason why literally nobody else does a podcast during the finals. It's a reason for that. And I love that he does a podcast, and I'm enjoying the content. But you really do leave a lot of bulletin board up there, material up there for guys to draw from. And you saw the Boston crowd screaming F Draymond Green, and he was playing bad, and it was just not looking good out there for him, man. I know he can balance out doing both. I'm not talking about in terms of him not, talking, oh my God, you can't focus on both. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when he opens his mouth, he gives the Boston Celtics plenty to think about. When he does his after-game stuff, you know what I mean? He words himself carefully. I'm sure he words it carefully. I pay attention to that. But there's still stuff there that leaves room for smoke, and guys are going to draw from any little thing you say. They're going to draw from it, and I just feel like he's doing a lot of talking, and he's being physical. It's not like he's not being physical, but I think he's losing sight of the fact that his job isn't to just be an enforcer. It's not as simple as they have 4 or 5 guys that can be an enforcer versus me, the only guy on my team that can be an enforcer. That's not what's happening to you. What's happening to you is you're an offensive liability. When they get the ball to you, they don't have to worry about guarding you. So what ends up happening, what I'm seeing is it makes it easier on the best defense in the game to focus in on other guys. Now, Steph Curry is busting that up. Even though he didn't have his greatest efficient night tonight, he was still able to bust that up. But going forward, if he's going to be hurt or a step slow or whatever it's going to be, Draymond's even more of a liability if he's not looking to score the ball, if he's not being more efficient offensively. He has to make up for what he's trying to do physically, pushing people around on the glass. He needs to shift his entire attention to getting on the glass. Because right now, the Boston Celtics have figured out what it is that I've been screaming into this camera for the last month, which is the Golden State Warriors are a team that beats you on the boards. And if you can find a way to beat them on the boards, you beat them. You beat them. It's not about necessarily perimeter defense. It's not necessarily about outscoring them or none of that. That stuff is important, but not nearly as important as making damn sure you crush them on the glass. And that's what the Boston Celtics did tonight. They crushed them on the glass, and they massively, massively impacted them on the interior scoring side of the ball. They made their interior defense look like it was Casper the Friendly Ghost out there. It was bad. It was real bad. Layup, dunk, layup, dunk. 53 points in the paint for the Boston Celtics. You understand what I'm saying to you? That the Golden State Warriors don't often let that happen. They're the ones that's usually killing you in your paint. And guess what? That didn't happen. And why is that? Because Mr. Time Lord, Robert Williams III, made his impact felt in Game 3 in dramatic fashion. If they gave away awards for singular games, he would get one for how he performed this evening. Blocking shots, rebounding the ball, being big, catching lobs. To me, he was the difference. Granted, those other three guys putting up their big points, rebounds, and assists, all of that was incredibly important, obviously. But I'm telling you, Robert Williams was the most important player on the floor tonight for the Boston Celtics. Because what he did was he made it so that the Golden State Warriors couldn't answer what those guys were doing. You know what I mean? They couldn't answer. Because every time the Golden State Warriors tried to drive into the paint, they were getting blocked. And if they weren't getting blocked, they were thinking. They were doing a whole lot of thinking. It was like, do I want to drive in here? I don't know. Let me over dribble a little bit. Let me circle around. It was him affecting things so much that the Golden State Warriors could not do anything in the paint. And because of it, the paint was completely controlled. It's that simple. The paint was controlled on both sides of the floor by the Boston Celtics. They controlled the offensive glass. They controlled the defensive glass. They scored massively in the other team's paint. They kept the Golden State Warriors out of their paint. And that is it. Paint domination. That is what you saw. Paint domination. And Robert Williams III had everything to do with it. Got to give Al Horford credit as well. He was massive tonight. Grant Williams had a better game this evening at 10 points. You know, I like when he scores the ball, looks to shoot the three. I think he was 1 for 4 tonight, but at least he was looking to shoot it. Derek White looked better in the first half. I don't think they went to him as much in the second half. His efficiency kind of waned. Not a big deal. I think it really came down to just them going with Peyton Pritchard a little more there. And I thought he did well with his minutes as well. Even though Steph Curry, I think, has done a good job defensively on him at times. Peyton's still been able to hit his shot and keep a good plus-minus, so he's felt out there. I just think the Golden State Warriors, if I'm going to just flip back to them, they need to use Otto Porter more, man. He's having a good series, and his usage is just not as high as it needs to be. There's too much focus on other players, and it's easy to forget about a guy like Otto Porter, but if the Golden State Warriors shift a little more focus to him, they'll be happy they did, because a lot of the good stuff that happens to them in this series, he's a part of. Hitting big three-point shots tonight, getting offensive rebounds in timely situations, getting defensive boards, getting steals. I mean, he's doing a lot for you, but because Steve Kerr is focused on so many other people, he's not realizing that this dude is giving you the stuff that you want to get out of Iguodala. He's giving you the stuff that you're hoping to receive out of Klay Thompson. Like, you just need to just zoom out, look at what's being done out there as opposed to this magical mantra thing that Steve Kerr seems to be believing in regards to his team. It's like, we got to win with Steph and Klay. We must win with Dre. No, you must look at what's working and do that. That's what you do. Me personally, Draymond Green was not giving me what I needed tonight. I needed more Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney's the younger guy. He's the more durable guy at this point. He's the guy that is going to be able to match up more so with a guy like Robert Williams. You didn't give yourself enough Kevon Looney out there. The Boston Celtics were shooting the ball well, but there was no excuse for not giving them a Kevon Looney. Kevon did such a fantastic job against Luka Doncic. And while this is a much more athletic team, they don't have, out there, it's a different matchup. At the end of the day, I've seen enough of Kevon to know that if Dre is struggling, Kevon should be relied upon. And that just did not happen tonight. I don't know if it was foul trouble. I will claim ignorance. I just didn't look much at Kevon's stats this evening. But that was because he was a non-factor. And that is systematic. You have to focus in on him more, period. I didn't see enough Gary Payton II tonight. Didn't see enough of him. He played a good first quarter defensively. Where was he at in the second half? You know what I'm saying? Where was he? I just think it's tough because you got a lot of stars on this Golden State Warrior team. You want to get Wiggins his looks, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to get Jordan Poole worked into it and all of that. But I'm telling you, you got to go with what's working, man. You got to look at what's happening for you against this Boston Celtics team, which happens to be literally the best defense you've seen. And you got to try to lean on what works. Because they're looking for the mantra stuff. They're looking for the stars. They got schemes for them. As I told you guys in the previous video about this fantastic coach, Ime Udoka, he has had wildly successful adjustments in these playoffs. That is why he is here. Because when stuff doesn't work, he identifies it. And because his team is so very versatile, they are able to plug up every hole they find. That is why they're here. That is why it looks like they're going to win the championship. Because they are out scheming Steve Kerr and the Warriors. The Warriors are going about this in the clouds, high sky, like, oh, because we're the Warriors, we're going to just Steph Curry them, and then Dre is going to come through, and it's like some pie in the sky bull crap. And I'm telling you, Emmy ain't on that. He ain't on that. He and his scientists and those fantastic positionless players, they are looking at what's working. They're looking at the stats. Okay, this is what we need to do. We need to control the paint. We need to stop them on the boards. We need to stop Steph Curry from doing this. We need to crowd them out. They are doing stuff that works. And the Warriors are just high in the sky. Let's see who wants to play for us. Let's see if John Jameson wants to come on and play on for us. Let's see if Rick Barry, let's see if he wants to play. Is that anybody got Monte Ellis number? Anybody got Baron Davis number? Let's call him too. That's what it seemed like Steve Kerr is on to me, man. That's what it seems like. He's on some pie in the sky Laker type bullcrap, like we was on this year. And I'm just that's why they're down. It ain't deeper than that. That's why they're down. Because they're not looking at what's working. You need more Otto Porter out there. You need more Kevon Looney out there. You need more Gary Payton II out there. You need more Andrew Wiggins doing defensive things out there. Those are your defensive players. You need more of them out there. Okay? That's what's working. With respect to Klay Thompson, who's finally pulling it together, he hadn't been working. Now, rolling with him is something that's smart because you know damn well he can click it together at any moment, and that's what you're seeing. But for the time being, I think you'd be up in this series if you would have leaned on those guys a little more instead of trying to let him get worked into rhythm in a final series going up against a defense like that. Like that? Oh, no. And let me say something else that I saw out there. And this is going to frustrate the Golden State Warriors because it's something they rely upon a whole lot. The outlet pass. Boston has that covered. They got that covered. I don't know what it is about the Boston Celtics, but every time Steph Curry thinks he has an outlet pass, they either intercept it or have the defense in place ready to connect with the person who's going to be driving at the basket. We saw that more than once. And it was one situation where the Boston Celtics defense was so impossibly perfect on that situation. And Steph Curry threw an outlet pass. I think it was, I don't remember who it was to. But they ended up running directly into Robert Williams. Robert Williams, of course, makes the perfect defensive play at the rim. Tosses the ball back down the court to where Steph Curry is sealed out underneath with Al Horford. Heads up play for Al Horford to immediately put himself in position to get an easy bucket right there. And I just said that is the type of thing that the Golden State Warriors are going to pull their hair out trying to figure out because they rely so much on the outlet passes and those easy buckets. And every single time Steph Curry tried the outlet pass, they were ready. Every single time. And that's something the Golden State Warriors are going to have to figure out. Because if the Boston Celtics continue to defend that play that way, they're hoisting the championship trophy this year. I'm telling you. Golden State can't live without being able to get that off. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to win without being able to get those easy buckets. So that's something Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are going to have to figure out right now. So one thing that I was encouraged by Golden State was how quickly they were able to make up points. There was a situation where they were able to get 8 points in about 32 seconds in the second quarter. That stood out. Against this defense, they're still able to cover a lot of ground really, really quickly, and that puts a lot of pressure on the Boston Celtics to continue to play well throughout every single possession. Boston Celtics did exactly what they needed to do tonight, keeping their foot on the gas for 48 total minutes. Nobody let up, and that's exactly what was needed, because there were moments in this game where if they would have, I was certain Golden State was coming roaring back. In fact, Golden State did come roaring back in the third quarter and ended up getting a 1-point lead with, I think, 33 points in that quarter. But the Boston Celtics did exactly what they needed to do, playing nearly perfect basketball in the fourth quarter, just like they did in, I believe it was, game 2? Did they play perfect basketball? One of those quarters where Jaylen Brown went absolutely phenomenal with 10 points and 5 assists. They played even better in this fourth quarter, holding the Golden State Warriors to 11 points. I think they only had 1 turnover as a team. Just perfect basketball. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, Marcus Smart, they all hit shots. They all played D. They all rebound the ball. They all got the ball to each other. A ton of assists. The Golden State Warriors got their assists up, but at the half, I was telling you guys they had a significant assist disadvantage to the Boston Celtics, and Boston kept that up. They ultimately won that advantage. You just love the way the Boston Celtics are playing together in these finals, man. Even in the games that they, even through 3 games, even though they've lost a game in this series, you love that they've been working together and finding ways of, just making plays for one another. Team basketball, scheme, team defense. I'm not gonna lie to you. If the Golden State Warriors don't figure something out that they haven't figured out, if they don't figure something out, this series is gonna end, and they're gonna lose. It really does just come down to looking at what Ime Udoka's doing, looking at those players, and just seeing very clearly after 3 games that the Golden State Warriors are at a disadvantage in some very key areas that I don't know if they can make up. I don't know that they can make it up. For one, Draymond Green is a real liability in this series. He is, man. His inefficiency scoring the ball is a huge problem for a defense that needs not have players that they don't have to worry about. That's not a good thing for a defense this good. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. A player as important as Draymond Green has to be accountable for at least 10 points going up against this defense. And if his entire focus is just to get under the skin of Jaylen Brown, if that's all y'all gonna use him to do, no offense, but I need more. I need some other production. That can't be his role. That can't be his role. I need him to be a glass cleaner. He has to get at least 12 rebounds a game. I don't need him drawing fouls and pushing people around. They had a sequence where he was pulling and tugging on Jason Tatum, all them antics, bro. I don't need none of that. That's not going to help you beat Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. No disrespect, but that's not smart basketball. That's stupid basketball. Flopping around and all you're doing is bringing attention to yourself. That's not going to get anybody to sway in your direction and say, okay, let me give him a call. No, we're watching you. You're flopping all over the place. So I'm just very disappointed in Dre. I'm very disappointed. I want him to play better. I want him to focus on what's working. I want him to see the same thing I'm seeing, which is your team needs to rebound the ball, period. You're getting smoked out there on the boards, and you know damn well that the only reason why that's happening is because your focus ain't where it needs to be, on the glass. Flopping around like a fish, starting fights, doing all kinds of weird stuff. Stop that nonsense. Seriously. Reel it in, man. Needs to be said. Now, Marcus Smart is playing fantastic on the other end. Complete opposite. Al Horford, complete opposite. They are doing what I want Dre to do. They don't have to be the greatest shooters in the world. They don't have to be the most efficient guys, the most athletic, none of that. Just focus on the X's and O's and give your team what they don't have. Al Horford stretching the floor, getting in passing lanes, pulling down boards, verticality, all that different stuff that they need him to do. Hit free throws. Just do stuff on the court that works. Don't flop around, grabbing people and acting like you're arm locked, trying to do all this Dennis Rodman nonsense. You know what Dennis Rodman did along with all that stuff? He made sure he cleaned up every single board imaginable. He gave his team second and third and fourth and fifth chances at opportunities to score. That's why the Bulls were so damn good. It's not because they had all the offensive players in the world. It's because they had a guy down there who was literally getting them second and third points on every damn play. Keeping the ball out of the other team's hands most of the time. That's what the Warriors need to do against this Boston Celtics team that already has trouble scoring against them to begin with. You let them get all the glass, you see what happens? Jason Tatum played fantastic tonight. I thought he was so efficient, even though the scoring efficiency wasn't there. We're talking about other aspects of efficiency. Rebounding the ball, taking care of the ball, turn the ball over 2 times. That's what I want to see from Jason Tatum. He looked like an NBA champion to me tonight, to be honest with you. He looked like a guy who understood he needed to play 48 minutes, who understood he needed to defer to a guy like Jaylen Brown, who was attacking more so today, be an assistant to him today, which is a recipe for success at times for the Boston Celtics. To throw a monkey wrench in the game against the Golden State Warriors team, which is what I suggest. This is what we saw. And you just love what you see out of Marcus Smart. You know he had a bad game in game 2. Ain't nobody going to argue that. Marcus Smart was probably beating himself up more than anybody else was. He was horrible in game 2. But he came back tonight and gave the Boston Celtics what it is they needed at home. So you got to give him a lot of credit as well. So that's what it was, man. That's what it was, man. I think it comes down to this. Through 3 games, I do believe the Golden State Warriors have some things they can do to make themselves look better, but the Boston Celtics are the better team. That is not something I'm even questioning anymore. The Boston Celtics are the better team. That doesn't mean that they're going to win the series, though. And the reason why that is because there are certain things about this series that concerns me about the Boston Celtics to where it's on them to continue to keep their foot on the glass for 48 minutes every game. They can't let up for a second because that Golden State Warriors team is capable of scoring 8 points in 32 seconds. Even when they're struggling, Klay Thompson can drop 6 threes on your head. Even when your interior defense is incredible, Jordan Poole can still find ways of scoring on the inside against Robert Williams. Like, these are the little things that make you say, okay, the Boston's better, but that doesn't mean that they're going to hit harder. You know, the Golden State's strongest strength is probably stronger than Boston's strongest strength offensively. Defensively, absolutely not. And the strongest strength overall in this series is most definitely the Boston Celtics defense. That is the trump card of the series right now. So what needs to happen? Well, for the Boston side of things, they need to not turn the ball over as much. If I'm going to point out anything about Boston I didn't like tonight, it was their turnovers. Turn the ball over too much tonight, Boston. You got away with it, but you got to reel that in, especially in the first half. I thought in the second half and in the fourth quarter, of course, they did just that. But through 3 quarters, them first 3 quarters, turn the ball over too much. Keep the momentum from the fourth quarter into game 4. That's what I have to say about the turnovers. Continue to keep your foot on the gas as it pertains to the glass, of course. Because we know, as I've said a trillion times, that's how you win this series. That's how you beat the Warriors. You pull down the boards. You make them look like they look tonight on the inside, scoring in the inside, the way you did. And, of course, Robert Williams' health is so important. He looked fresh tonight. He looked like that home cooking was best for him, more so than anybody else. Getting back home to Boston, sleeping in his own bed, etc. He looked like he needed that more than anybody. He was fresh tonight, and it was the difference. It was simply the difference. He was too much for the Warriors. Period. Blocking all kinds of shots, rebounding, dunking. His plus minus, I think, was the best of anybody in the Boston Celtics. Simple as that. So he needs the credit that he's going to probably not get as much of because the other 3 guys broke that record. But yeah, he was too much. Simply too much for the Golden State Warriors. And that's the Golden State Warriors' fault for not throwing enough Kevon Looney at him, in my opinion. You just got to throw more Looney at him. Stop putting Dre on him, put more Looney on him and see if something changes there. I'm not saying it's going to change automatically, but I would try that at this point. So, yeah, that's where we're at, man. I want to see more Jordan Poole as well. Obviously, he's starting to get his rhythm a little bit. He's finding his way a little bit. I think the focus should kind of shift toward him a little bit more, and it probably will by default if Steph's hurt. So he's going to have to step up, step out, and continue to be aggressive defensively because he can't be a liability. They're going to attack him. He's going to have to win some of those matchups if this series is going to go his way. It's simple as that. They're going to attack him defensively. We know it. And again, more GP2. My God, man. GP2 needs to be playing a lot more. He is your best on-ball defender. Him and Wiggins, of course, but GP2 is one of the best defenders out there. He's healthy enough to play. I'm throwing him out there. He's a youngster. He's in great shape. Yeah, the injury is what it was, but I mean, shoot, this boy is Gary Payton's son. Throw him out there. Seriously, let's just be real. He needs to be playing. He's one of the best defenders you got. So that's the thought, man. That is the thought. You know, the Boston Celtics get the victory. They played nearly perfect basketball in the fourth quarter. They took care of the basketball, as we said, in the fourth quarter. You know, Golden State Warriors couldn't get nothing done. They were in the Golden State Warriors' head tonight as it pertains to that interior. Simple as that. You saw moments in that fourth quarter where the Golden State Warriors were really, really thinking. Robert Williams had them boys flustered. They was all kinds of confused in that paint. They didn't know what they wanted to do, but they know they didn't want to attack him after a while. And that is a mental edge that the Golden State Warriors must overcome. They must overcome that. Because if he continues to be a terror into Game 3, or rather into Game 4, the same way he was in Game 3, they're going to win the game the same way they did. Trust you me, there's going to be another victory for them Celtics. So that is the story in my mind. Grant Williams continuing to look to score and rebound the ball. He rebounded a little better tonight. I want to see him crash the glass even more. In fact, everybody in the Boston Celtics did a fantastic job on the glass. Now that I think about it, if you look up and down their stat sheet, I don't think anybody had less than 5 rebounds who played more than 25 minutes. Everybody rebounded. So you got to give the Boston Celtics credit for just keeping that emphasis on there, making that adjustment. And it's one that they should not adjust away from. You know, it's one that the Golden State Warriors must find a way at this point to stop them from doing that. Because if I'm Ime Udoka, I'm going to say keep doing it. Keep doing everything that we did tonight on the glass. The emphasis should be on that glass and on that interior. We control the paint, we get the trophy. So that's the story. And for the Golden State Warriors, it's the complete opposite. If they can continue to control the paint, obviously they get the trophy. You need to establish the paint once again somehow. Stop going small. Small ball does not work in this series for you, Golden State. I don't give a damn what the spacing looks like. You're having big problems on the defensive end when you do that, and that is something that you can't afford. You can't afford that. All the defensive lapses, all that 52 points in the paint, it's because of that small ball nonsense. Don't do it. And this just brings me back to what I'm saying. Steve Kerr. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's costing his team the series right now. We're just going to call it like it is. His rotations have been subpar. And that's what it is, man. Look at what you see and adjust to that, because that's what's happening to you. Ime Udoka is solid. That's the bottom line. The best way I know how to describe what I'm seeing out of Ime Udoka is solid consistency, stability, and balance. He's not looking at this saying, let me do this or that because I would try something. No. What works is what we're doing. We're not wavering from our strengths and our weaknesses. If we see something that maybe needs to be done, we'll patch it up. Otherwise, we're going to keep on attacking you. We're going to keep on attacking you defensively. We're going to keep on shooting the shots that we like to take. And we're gonna drive the ball with Jaylen Brown. You know, we're gonna attack with Marcus Smart, especially when his three's falling like it was tonight. Did he call glass on that bank? That was incredible, by the way. And we're gonna continue to run it down your throats. Jason Tatum attacked a little more tonight. I like how he was driving at the basket, drawing fouls. You know what I mean? That is a recipe for success for the Boston Celtics. You keep attacking them Golden State Warriors, make them establish that rim protection. Make them prove that they can. Simple as that. So those are my thoughts. That is what I have to say. My prediction was correct. The Boston Celtics took care of Game 3 at home. You know, nothing surprising there. They are not afraid of their fans after a while. Voila. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart can, in fact, play well at home in these finals. Oh my God, what a revelation. I think that's one of the most ridiculous narratives alive right now. It really is. Are you kidding me? The Boston Celtics are afraid to play at home? Unbelievable. Anyway, that's what I got, man. Golden State Warriors, you disappoint me. You disappoint me. I'm a Laker fan. I'm sitting here watching the Boston Celtics 2 games away from the NBA Finals because y'all think y'all us. Not the good us, but the bad us. The us that wants to use the rah-rah we used to be the Lakers mantra about how we focus on 2022 basketball. 2021 rather. Hopefully we don't do that again this year. But that's what y'all doing. Saw Iggy in the game in the first half. Didn't I tell y'all not to play him? Do not play him. Why was he even in the game? Playing Steph Curry with 3 fouls in the first half. You know how lucky you were he didn't pick up that 4th foul? Just all kinds of bad from Steve Kerr. I don't know, man. Just all kinds of bad. There's been a lot of people who've said Steve Kerr ain't that guy. He's won a lot of championships with this great team. But we are seeing him get out-coached. And that's on him. He's got to patch it up, man. If he has it in him to make real, solid, sturdy decisions, look at what's working, who are the best plus-minus players, who's giving you the best defense, who's giving you what you need to stop what's happening. If you can't do those things, you're going to have another finals loss on your resume. Mantras, fluff, legacy doesn't win basketball games. Defense, rebounding, efficiency, taking care of the basketball, good rotations, clock management, making your free throws, calling good timeouts. All of those things are what contribute to good basketball. I just want the Golden State Warriors to get back to what works, man. Because the teams that won the championship, they weren't doing stuff that didn't. And the teams that didn't win the championship, in times, like my Lakers, they leaned on stuff that wasn't tangible. They relied upon stuff that didn't have nothing to do with basketball, in hopes that those things would help them win basketball games. And they never did. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching.